Yes, like the brother said before, my name is Abdullah. I was born as Laban. 25 years ago I was born, and I was also raised here in Toronto. And 1 year ago, I thought I had my whole life planned out, or the next 10 years at least. I was going after two careers. I was an amateur boxer. I was also a photographer. But I was heading in those two directions, and I was on my way to a pretty successful career in both careers. And then I came across this thing called Islam, and everything changed. My whole world, changed. And I knew this was my true destiny. It was the only thing that felt real, and that was the only thing that was like solid in my heart. Everything else was just more of a dream, but this was real. It was a journey that began 16 years ago. 8 years ago, because even before that, I didn't really even believe in God. At least not truly, but even though I went to a Catholic school, but it was not something that we really believed in. It was more something that was just, forced upon us. And like I said, 8 years ago was the first time I actually believed in there was a real creator, because I was 16 years old. I used to get into a lot of trouble, and I ended up in jail one time as a youth. And the night before my sentencing, I was going before the judge, and the night before I was praying for the first time. I never really actually believed my prayers, but I thought this time, I have no one else to talk to, so I just prayed to my Creator. And I asked the Creator, to make the judge show some leniency on me, and just to believe that I was humble and I was remorseful, and that she should send me home to my family. So then the day of my sentencing, I went in front of the judge. I sat there nervously, and she actually said that she believed that I was remorseful, and she believed I was humble, and then she also sent me home to my family. So I thought, wow, it woke me up. I thought, here, my prayers are answered. So after that, I started taking life a little bit more seriously, and I thought I should try to make some effort to straighten myself up. So it was a difficult time I was going through, but I thought, hey, it's this time to try to straighten myself out, even though I was still involved in some major things, haram things. And the best thing that actually happened to me was moving out of that area a year later. And I ended up going to a new high school. I didn't know anybody, and this actually allowed me to concentrate on my studies and pull up my grades and stuff like that. And a few years later, I actually graduated from high school, which it doesn't seem much, but where I grew up, it was a big deal, because a lot of the brothers I grew up with were really big on education. So I was the first one to actually get my high school diploma. And then as I started to mature, I started thinking more about my purpose of life and the purpose of life. I knew there's a creator, but I was still so confused. I didn't know what's the way to go. So I started I just started thinking, and then I always wondered what was my purpose of life, because people were telling me, as in school and stuff like that, just in society, that life was just about getting a good job, getting a house and a car, and getting married, and planning for retirement and all those things. But I thought, that's why these people the people who actually believe this, they're not happy. How come they're not happy? I started asking questions. And why do they get so depressed? And why are they, their life is like in misery, even though they pretend that everything's okay, because they got a little bit of money and some property or whatever. But I knew this wasn't my true destiny. I knew this wasn't the way I wanted my life to go. Surprisingly, one day I came back to my old neighborhood, and I found out some of the guys I grew up with actually accepted Islam. And it was kind of a shocking thing to me, because these guys are just knuckleheads like me, and all of a sudden they're dressed sunnah and they're praying and all this stuff. They're talking better, they're acting better. So it was kind of a shock to me. So then they started giving me some dawah, and it wasn't hard for me to believe that soon after speaking with these brothers that my Creator was one, and He didn't have any partners or sons or daughters, that He was beyond all that. So that wasn't hard for me to grasp at all. But I did reject everything else about Islam at that point. And I also rejected the religion I was born into, which was Christianity, because it just didn't make sense to me either. But I felt like I should keep searching for the truth. In the early months of last year, 2003, I used to visit a friend of mine. He was actually a Muslim brother. He worked in a local store. And and we used to talk, and he told me about this place called the Dawah Center. But at the time, I wasn't too interested, but he told me, check this place out, there'll be some nice brothers there who will help you out, give you some answers about Islam. But at that point, I wasn't too motivated about Islam at that point. But anyways, alhamdulillah, ended up going actually a little while after because I thought, it's something I should at least look into. So I started studying other religions at that point as well, but just trying to find a common ground between all of them, but it was pretty hard to do. And all I could find in between all the religions was that good character was something that was recommended, and being kind and stuff like that, but it still wasn't, a deeper knowledge I was looking for. So yeah, one day I decided to check out the Dawah Center, and alhamdulillah, I found that it was actually close to the boxing gym I was training at, so that kind of shocked me. So I decided to go there briefly before my training began, and I only planned to stay there for a little while, like half an hour or something before I went training, and then it was about 3 p.m. in the afternoon, sorry. And I actually ended up leaving at 1 o'clock in the morning as a Muslim. Took my Shahada, and I knew when I left that place that my whole life had led me to that day, because I knew this was my true destiny, it's what I was looking for. Anyways, so I just knew, and I started to hang around Muslims. I started hanging around a new set of people now, and it began to change my character, because when I was boxing, I was hanging around totally different kind of people who were arrogant and who were all about just trying to get their own thing going, their personal gain and money, and their attitude was totally different. And then in the evening, I go to the Musalla, and I'm hanging around Muslims now, and these brothers are humble and they're pious, and they're nice speaking, and they're talking about Allah. So then it's just like, wow, this makes more sense to me. This makes me feel better, So I ended up quitting boxing for a lot of other reasons, but the thing was, I found my home in Islam. This is what I want to pursue for the rest of my life. But anyways, what I want to say, just to conclude this, is that all the brothers and sisters here that were born into Islam, is that you should thank Allah every day for giving you this religion, this way of life, because if you only knew the frustration and misery and confusion outside of the Islamic way of life, you would be so grateful for what you have, because people who don't know about Islam are going through a lot of things that they don't have the answers, because the Quran has the answers that we need, that are there, that everything we'll experience in this life and then the hereafter is in the Quran. And the thing with people who don't know about Islam are looking in the wrong places for the answers. So the Quran was revealed for all of mankind, so everybody should think about reading the Quran, Muslim or non-Muslim. This book is revealed for everybody, so it's something we should definitely make the effort to study. And basically, I never spoke in front of a crowd, so I'm kind of nervous, but I'm only here for Allah. And I hope, some people here, Muslims and non-Muslims, will, make the effort to read the Quran and study Islam, whether they're Muslim or non-Muslim, because this is the only truth we have on earth. It's the only thing that's going to guide us and give us some peace and contentment in our heart. Otherwise, we're just going to walk around in confusion for the rest of our lives, you know what I mean? So, assalamu alaikum.
Takbir! Takbir! Takbir!
May Allah reward you for taking the time and the effort to tell your story. And I know, I've been in the public circle for a few years, so I know in the beginning you can get very, very nervous to speak in front of people, hoping you don't make any mistakes, or it's not easy. One thing a brother pointed out to me, which was good, for the people who don't know the terms, when we speak of the term dawah, what we're speaking about, dawah represents explaining the message of Islam to people of other faiths. So when you hear us use the word dawah, when we say we're going to give dawah to the non-Muslims, it doesn't mean we're going to beat you up. So you have nothing to fear. It just means that we want to explain the message of Islam to non-Muslims, so that you can have the opportunity, as we did, to hear the correct message, and hopefully by the grace of Allah, accept the message. The second thing, you hear a lot of people say, Takbir! And then you get scared, probably thinking we're going to attack you. No, we want to point this out that no, once again, it's not that we're going to attack you. We're saying who's the greatest, and then we're saying Allah's the greatest. Because as Muslims, I know some of us get caught up in it, but the true way of glorifying our, what we're doing is by giving all credit to Allah. So we try not to clap for human beings, because we try to praise Allah only, because we believe that He's the one who deserves all the credit in the end for all the good things we do. So that's two things. Jazakallah khair for pointing that out, because I think it's important you understand, because I know coming where I come from, I probably think I was under attack. But another thing is when we do pray in 10 minutes from now, we welcome all the non-Muslim people of different faiths, brothers and sisters. You're welcome to come upstairs and watch us pray. You're not offending us, you're not crossing any lines. The mosque is common sense. It's a community center for Muslims, and it's a place where you should feel free to come up and you can watch us pray. You're not gonna interfere, and it's not gonna disturb us. And it would be nice if you came up there and watched, because we feel that's part of it. See what we're doing, and know that we don't have any hidden agendas with you. We just hope, for the sake of Allah, that you understand that we love for you the truth, because as brothers and sisters in humanity, we don't want to take you out or kill you or maim you. We just want to give you the message so that you can understand what we understand. Because let's face it, if I was a businessman and I had Bill Gates money on a worldly level, and I told you, hey, listen, I've got a good business plan, you'd probably say, I'll listen to whatever you have to say. Well, I'm telling you that I have something better than this world, and that everything that's in it, and that's Islam. And if you think money is the end of the world, then you're going to keep hitting your head against the wall until you finally realize that when you die, you're not going to take your bank accounts with you. So, inshallah, when we look for the only everlasting thing in the world, which is God Himself, and we turn to Him, we'll realize that He's the one that can raise us again, as He brought us to life in the first place.